It's time for Fantasy Football Semi-Pros.
Welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Football Semi-Pros. I'm Brandon. With me is Ryan. Ryan, it's good to be here on a Monday, isn't it?
Yeah, Monday. Monday! That one car commercial.
Yep. I will say I do enjoy that we're splitting these up and doing this on 2 different days, kind of trying to, instead of rushing through, we can give a little more analysis.
Yeah, it won't feel as rushed, and hopefully we can really get into the bread and butter.
Yep. So, first thing I want to go over, DFS Recap. So, first off, I want to thank Cairo Egyptians for joining us in our matchup last week. It's always nice to have people playing against us besides just Ryan and I. And in other news...
Week 3 mojo. How'd you do?
I beat Ryan.
By 0.4 points.
Doesn't matter. A win's a win.
0.4 points.
A win is a win.
Yes, so. That's the last and only time you'll hear that on this show.
I don't know about that. I'm starting to find my mojo DFS-wise.
Okay.
So, in other news, now we're going to go over Devon versus the coin. So, we are down. We haven't got a full slate in yet. We got tonight's game.
We haven't counted the Monday night game, but it's a wash no matter what.
Without that game, Devon still lost the coin this week. Devon is 6-9 so far. The coin is 8-7.
So she can't even catch it, even if they both had it different.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
My day is ruined.
So Devon, before we start recording, started doing some research. So
let's see if she fares any better. You got your notepad? Oh, Devon made notes.
I'm ashamed.
You made notes. Wow. Okay.
I thought I needed more than luck on my side this time.
Well, we kind of, yeah, it does take a little bit of luck. I mean, if it didn't take
little
luck,
prior knowledge.
If it didn't take luck, there would be many millionaires betting $1 bets on 16-game parlays or 14-game parlays or whatever it
well,
is.
let's see if my 2 minutes of homework paid off.
All right, we're gonna go over our picks on Thursday, correct?
yeah, we're gonna go over ours on Thursday.
I think I have a solid lead in ours, but anyway. All right, week 4.
Yep.
The bread and butter starts Thursday night in Cincinnati. The Jacksonville Jaguars are heading to Cincy to take on the Bengals. Thursday night football prime time. Who you got?
Bengals.
Yeah, probably a good pick there.
Are you writing yours down?
She already
Already
did.
written down. All set.
You heard it, folks. Devon's picking the Bengals over the Jaguars and the generational talent known as Trevor Lawrence.
And the coin took?
The coin picked the Jaguars.
Take that coin.
Okay. All right, next up. The Washington football team travels to Atlanta to take on the Falcons.
Washington football team.
You're going to go with the WFT. I can see it. Might not be a bad pick, but the coin says Atlanta's going to win at home.
Well, the coin is wrong.
I don't know. I can kind of see it going either way. It's going to be a tough one. All right, well, how about Houston at Buffalo? The Texans versus the Buffalo Bills. In Buffalo.
Bills.
Yeah, probably. That's probably your safest pick of the week. The Bills are favored at 17.5, and the coin also said it is done and picked the Bills. All right, next up. We got a... Ooh, this is going to be a doozy. The bottom dwellers. Detroit Lions, 0-3, head to Chicago. to take on the Bears. The Bears are 1-2. The Lions are 0-3, and they just lost a heartbreaker.
The Bears.
You're gonna say the Bears over the Lions?
Yep.
All right. Well, here's
They're
an
home in
here's an
Chicago.
interesting fact. The two most recent. No, sorry. Excuse me. The Lions have lost 2 games in history on last-second field goals that were league-setting record, like longest record field goals ever made. Twice in the history.
Gonna go to the Bears.
So the Lions have lost twice.
Long time ago.
Yes, 1976, and the long then was 62 yards. So, they just lost again to the Baltimore Ravens. The crazy thing, Barber, both of those final scores, as time expired, 19-17. Does that make sense? So
Yes.
2 times they've
I'm
lost
going with the
to
Bears.
record-setting long field goals. Okay, you're going with the Bears. Sorry, everybody. Off track there. The Carolina Panthers head to the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I will say,
It's a little on the fence on this one.
that's fair. CMC's probably out. They haven't. I don't think they've officially ruled him out yet, but he's probably out
He plays
for the Panthers.
Okay.
God, you don't pay attention. Dallas is favored by 4.5.
I'm picking the Cowboys.
I'll make my pick and decision after I see this game tonight. It's an NFC East grueler of a matchup. It's going to be exciting. Fireworks everywhere. Anyway, next game. Indianapolis travels down to Miami to take on the Dolphins.
I'm going to go with the Colts.
The coin also took the Colts. Oh, sorry. The coin took the Carolina Panthers against the Dallas Cowboys, just so you know. And the coin also took Chicago. All right. Moving forward. Cleveland travels to Minnesota. The Cleveland Browns take on the Minnesota Vikings.
On the fence on this one. I'm going to go with the Browns for once.
The Browns to upset the Vikings. Well, I guess the Browns are favored by 1 right now. The coin also took the Browns. Yep, I know.
It's disappointing.
It is. It is what it is. Next up, you got the 0-3 New York Giants taking on the 2-1 New Orleans Saints.
The Saints.
This is their homecoming, right? They haven't played in this.
They haven't played in the Superdome yet.
No, not yet. Is it even ready? I know the roof caught on fire after Hurricane Ida.
Yikes.
So I don't know. The coin says New Orleans, and you took the Saints as well. I think
We
you were
did.
one of the few people that got that game right last week. I think the majority of people took the Patriots.
It was all my knowledge that I
Yeah, that's why
reflected on and
That's why you lost to a 50-50 coin flip.
had bad intel.
All right, next up, Tennessee Titans travel to play the New York Jets.
I'm going to go Titans.
Probably a good pick. The Jets were the coin said the Jets are going to win this. So you're either going to do really well or you're going to do really bad against the coin. All right, Kansas City is traveling to Philadelphia. The Chiefs taking on the Eagles.
Chiefs.
Yeah, they're favored pretty heavily. I'm kind of surprised at this spread right now. No, this upcoming game. Arizona Cardinals at the LA Rams. The Rams are favored by 6 points. I'm
I'm
surprised
gonna go
it's that.
Cardinals, actually.
I could
Against
see
my
it.
research.
Yeah, the Cardinals had a little rough of an outing, but I mean, they seem to get they find a way. That's what matters, right? The coin said the Rams, just so you know. All right, next up, Seattle travels to San Francisco. Both teams lost this week. Seattle Seahawks, San Francisco 49ers.
Well, I like the Seahawks, but I'm going with the 49ers.
They lost a heartbreaker last night. I tell you what, it was an ugly game though, whichever way you spin it. The coin took the Seahawks. You said the 49ers? Okay. Baltimore travels to Denver in the Mile High. Ravens versus Broncos.
Broncos.
We'll see. Collectively, teams that Denver has played against this year to start out 3-0 are 0-9. So, there's that. Pittsburgh travels to Green Bay. Oh, the coin took the Denver Broncos. Sorry, Brandon. Steelers at Packers.
Packers.
Yeah, that's probably
All the way.
that has yet to have a spread, but that's all right. Tampa Bay travels to New England. Tom Brady's going back to his old Foxborough home.
And I think he's going to win.
Yeah, you're probably right. Oh, sorry. The coin took Pittsburgh. I'm getting really bad at this. The coin took Pittsburgh. The coin took New England. I think the coin had his work cut out for it this week.
Good.
To close out week 4, Las Vegas Raiders travel all the way to LA to play the Chargers.
I'm going to go with the Chargers. Because they're home.
The coin also chose the Chargers. I
Alright,
think
well,
I might have to go with the Chargers for once this
Only
year.
once and all that.
I haven't picked them once this year.
Coin will not be winning again.
Okay, well, we'll see.
Bring my A game.
Thank you for
My notebook.
participating. Swallow this loss with the grain of salt.
Devon, just to give you extra incentive, just remember.
My disappointment is immeasurable,
I'm going to go cry now.
and my day is ruined.
That's fair. I would too if I lost to a coin.
No, all kidding aside.
You know I love you.
All kidding aside, we're just having fun with it.
Yep. Inside
Alright.
joke that you are all invited to be a part of. All one viewer of us.
All right, so Ryan, you
I-
ready for your favorite time?
No, but let's get on with it.
All right, trivia time. This one's actually a really easy one, I think.
I'm still going to get it wrong.
Who is the only QB with 300 plus passing yards in every game so far this season?
This season?
Yep. Excuse me.
I don't think Stafford had 300 in week 2. Is it A, Derek Carr?
Yes, it is. Derek
Yes!
Carr.
Woo! I did it.
All right.
My mom would be so proud of me.
Yeah, Derek Carr, he's...
Killing
I think it's helped that he's had 2 overtime games so far, but
Wow.
we'll talk about Derek Carr and the Raiders later.
All right. You got any more for me?
Nope, no more trivia.
Oh, okay.
So today, since we're actually now able to get these podcasts out before waivers,
Yep.
we're going
That's
to
the goal.
introduce a new segment called Waiver Wire Adds. Devon, are you listening?
No, she's not.
Listening.
So I'm pretty sure Brian and I both will agree on this number 1 Waiver Wire
Does
ad.
she really need to pick anybody up, though?
Yes,
I'm
Chuba Hubbard.
awesome already.
Not against the coin.
Had to bring that up.
So the number 1 waiver wire ad right now, this could be for 1-2 weeks, but you don't want this guy being out there or somebody else picking him up and beating you.
Absolutely.
And I think Ryan will agree with me on this one. He's your number 1 ad, Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to see... I don't think he's going to see 30-plus touches like CMC was seeing before he exited.
But
in
when
week 3.
CMC went down...
he's going to get a heavy dose.
Yep, you will see some of Royce Freeman. We did see that a little bit, but Royce
That's
Freeman
just-
I don't think is that good.
No.
It's just going to be to spell Hubbard.
Yeah, it's just going to be to give him a breather for a play or two.
He's rostered in 41% of leagues. My main metric on these is these teams or people had to be rostered in less than 50% of leagues.
Okay.
I do have a few honorable mentions that I did bring up.
So I guess my guy's not. He might be.
Well, we can look it up after, but
Yeah.
and I was using sleeper stats on this, not another one
ESPN
because
or whatever.
sleepers are the league that we use the most. This is the one that it's easiest, I think, for me to find these. So number 2, I put Emmanuel Sanders in there. We saw what he did this week. We'll get to that later, but he's rostered in only 37% of leagues, and in each game he's had 6+ targets.
I mean, his mesh with Josh Allen is. We're seeing it improve week by week. It's just how high is it going to go?
Yep.
And if week 3's the floor, why not throw him in a flex?
Yep. My third one is Terence Marshall. With Christian McCaffrey out, we mentioned Chuba Hubbard's there, but Marshall can also take that short to intermediate range passing work as a wide receiver.
He's got good size, man, great hands, and he just seems to find the open areas in the zone, which is a very overlooked talent.
Yep.
It's an intangible. I think.
Marshall, he's only rostered in 35% of leagues. He did play in 61.6% of the snaps on Thursday. Mm-hmm. And Robbie Anderson is just...
I mean, after week 1, Anderson hasn't really impressed me.
He's been on a steady decline. Week 1, he had 1 catch for 1 touchdown. Weeks 2 and 3, he's getting maybe 3 targets, I think it was.
That's not enough for even a flex.
As for Terrace Marshall, you're not going to play him just yet. But if you want to get him, it's best to jump ahead of the group and get him instead of just waiting and hope you get him.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, but are you? So I know it's waiver wire, but are you hoping he falls to free agent? Pick up after that, or are you gonna?
The teams I have, I'm not worried about him. I'm not going to try to get him.
But if you were, because personally, even if I needed him, I would still try to go get Hubbard or Terrace Marshall, right?
I think it depends on my spot. If I have
Emanuel Sanders.
If I have like the 1, 2, or 3 waiver spot, I'm probably hoping he falls to waivers. If I'm anything below that, I'd probably put in a claim for him.
Okay. Yeah, because you gotta assume Emmanuel Sanders is gonna be gone after this week, and so is Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah. But Terrace Marshall, I think you could wait and pick him up off of free agency, or even put a $0 bid for Fab.
Yeah.
I do want to add one in here I didn't put. I'm not going to name a name specifically, but get that handcuff running back. You never know when that starting running back's going to go down.
I just can't even get a running back, and all their backups are already gone. So.
I will say earlier last week, I think it was like Wednesday or Thursday, I saw news that Dalvin Cook was trending in the wrong direction. I went out and grabbed Alexander Madison.
That was a good pickup.
Now, Grant, Madison's still on my bench, but it stopped the Dalvin Cook owner from getting him.
I mean, he had 30-something points.
He's actually the second leading rusher so far this week. Whew. Can you guess who number 1 is?
I feel like I should know that.
He's one of your favorite running backs, one of your favorite players.
Derrick Henry?
Yep.
Yeah. That would make sense.
All right, and then 4, 5, and 6 is not actually players. These are team defenses that I'm looking at. One of these teams I actually went and grabbed last week after waivers ran, because I knew I wanted to stash them because I saw their upcoming matchups. My first defense out there is Tennessee Titans. This week, they play the Jets. Next week, Jacksonville. If you're a streaming guy like I am, those are 2 great teams to stream against.
Yeah, I always make the wrong call when streaming defenses. I try to play the matchups, and I try to play, this offense hasn't been putting up very many points, so this is a defense to take, and it never works out for me. So I'm at that point where who I got is who I got week 3 on.
My number 5 for me, the New Orleans Saints. They play the Giants this week. The Giants aren't a terrible team, but 2 of their top receivers are hurt.
Which I would like to make note of, something around that.
Daniel Jones
hasn't been playing all that well this season.
He's been playing all right, but he's always good for a turnover or 2.
Yeah.
Evan Ingram had a fumble in his first game back. So I'm just banking on the fact that the Giants don't have a good offensive line, and they do turn the ball over.
Now, may I add something about in regards to the Giants?
Yeah.
If you're like me, and you've been hit with the IR bug, and you're starting Zach Pascal as your wide receiver 2, and James White in your flex. I don't even know who my other flex was. Cordell Patterson or somebody. Colin Johnson might be somebody to look at right now. He's one of the young. He's only in his 2nd year for the Giants.
He had a good preseason for Jacksonville, and then they cut him.
Yeah, but with Slayton possibly missing some time and Sterling Shepard possibly missing some time, when that happened this past Sunday against the Falcons, Colin Johnson had the same amount of targets as Saquon Barkley. They both shared 7 targets.
Colin Johnson had 5 receptions on 7 targets for 51 yards.
And that's not going to win you a league or a week or a matchup, but it could certainly help. I mean, I could have definitely used that 10 points last week. I tell you what. Man, just keep an eye on him. I'm actually going to have to, in Dynasty, pull him off of my taxi squad. So, could be a nice little guy to throw in there.
And then my last streaming defense here, the Cincinnati Bengals. They've been better than people would think. If you haven't watched them, you probably haven't noticed it. But they play Jacksonville this week, and Trevor Lawrence has thrown, I think, multiple interceptions each game.
Well, and you look at their only loss, right? Was against the Chicago Bears. But I mean, Joe Burrow threw a pick 6 and then threw another pick that was stopped and held to a field goal, and then threw another interception. That was, I don't think they got any points out of that one. But they don't break. They only give up field goals. I think they only have 4 touchdowns scored against them in 3 games. Which
I'm not
some
sure
people
that,
are
but
going to be like, oh, I think 2 was against the Vikings had 2. They only gave up 1 offensive touchdown to the Bears, and I think they gave up 1 or maybe they gave up 2 against the Steelers because when that final 14,
I think it was one.
I can't it
remember,
doesn't matter. It's 4 or 5 touchdowns against them. So
you hear Cincinnati Bengals, and based off their recent history, it's like, oh, I don't want to play them. But they are a sneaky good team.
I'm telling you what, they don't have to blitz. That front 4 for the Bengals defenses, they get pressure. They bring pressure all day long. So they're a fun team to watch this year, surprisingly. And I know I'm biased, but they actually are pretty fun to watch. And I'm looking forward to being able to focus on watching the Bengals on Thursday.
Yep, and then so after that, honorable mention-wise, Zack Moss, he's at a 62% rostered in Sleeper. But after his Week 1 inactive, he scored 15.4 and 18.1% points in his matchups.
Is he available in our Keeper League? I need running back help there bad.
This is the curse of doing a podcast. You start giving away who you're looking at.
I think he's rostered.
No, he's not.
No.
That's why I noticed it.
Well, I got James Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, and Alvin Kamara. Somebody's got to. Eventually, they got to start clicking together.
Also, Cordero Patterson, he's 65% rostered.
I like that dude.
Cordero Patterson, it's a true timeshare, but he's getting the passing work.
Yeah.
So you like him better than Davis right now. He's had 14 touches in each of the last 2 games. And then Derek Carr, he's 52% rostered. He's averaging 34.13 fantasy points per game.
He's got to be a top 5 QB.
He's up there right now. Which he's someone I kind of mentioned it there earlier in the year that he's got the capabilities of doing it. Mm-hmm. It's showing right now.
Well, his weapons are staying healthy.
For now.
Hopefully.
And so that was our waiver wire ads. Ryan, do you have anybody else that you want to bring up?
Man, I had a name besides Colin Johnson, but man, if you're in a dynasty league, it's going to be hard. At this point, there's a lot of wide receivers still out there. There's a lot of talent at wide receiver. So
another name just to keep an eye on. I'm not going out and adding him, especially right now. Josh Gordon's always kind of produced when he's been in, and he's landing on the high-powered Chiefs, who I think are missing that dynamic number 2 receiver.
And there's a lot of weapons there with Kelsey and Hill, so their defenses can't focus on all of them.
Yep.
So he's gonna, if he gets in and he starts to play, he'll contribute.
So what I'm saying is, you're not starting him right away. You want to see it. He's probably not even playing his first game back. But if you have that extra spot at the end of your bench, not the worst pickup out there. Other than that, we'll go ahead and move on to our Week 3 reviews.
Cool.
So we'll start with the Thursday night game. The Panthers at the Texans. Carolina won 24-9. The big news in this one, Christian McCaffrey had a hamstring injury. He could be out 1 to 3 weeks. Thing is, with these hamstring injuries, and we see it all the time,
they linger.
They can linger. So another good reason to go get Chuba Hubbard.
Do you have to let it linger?
All right, you're not the Cranberries.
I do like cranberries.
Robbie Anderson, we mentioned it already. I think he's droppable in most redraft leagues. He's just not getting volume.
He's not dependable at all. I don't know if they're just not getting him, if they're not running routes for him, if they're not running schemes for him, or what's going on. But yeah, he unless it turns around, I would get rid of him. I hope you can pick him up later.
I will say Thursday after CMC went down, it looked like Donald only had eyes for DJ Moore.
Yeah, if you have DJ Moore, you're lucky because that dude's been producing like crazy after week 1.
This was the first year I was actually out on DJ Moore.
I'm out on a lot of guys, but the guys I am in on, they're not doing anything for me yet.
I used to target DJ Moore like crazy, and then this year I just okay, he hasn't been producing the way I was hoping. I'm gonna let him go, and then yeah.
It's always that change of pace or it's always the change of scenery with a new quarterback that can really, catapult a dude.
Well, he's had 4 different quarterbacks in 3 years.
Yeah,
5 different
that's
quarterbacks.
hard. It's hard.
Yep.
So
all right, and so for the Texans side of the ball, Davis Mills, he looked like a rookie quarterback out there.
as you would expect, I think he looked better than Justin Fields. And his numbers show that he played better than Justin Fields.
That wasn't hard this week, though.
I would say Houston's offensive line is slightly better than the Chicago Bears, unfortunately.
Right now, though, you're avoiding that backfield. We're not even going to talk about it. The only player you're looking at on this team is Brandon Cooks.
Yes.
Which, Brandon Cooks, he actually just turned 28 on Saturday.
Oh, really?
Among receivers that were younger than 28, he's had more receptions than Calvin Johnson. More receiving yards than Antonio Brown.
Is this career or?
Career.
Okay.
Career up until age 28.
Okay.
And a higher yards per target than Randy Moss.
Wow.
Just think.
Wow.
Look at the teams he's been on.
New
Orleans, New
Saints.
England, Rams,
Yeah.
Houston. For some reason, nobody wants this guy.
Nobody keeps him around, and I think I would definitely want him. I traded.
You gotta wonder what's going on with him that he's just being moved around so much.
Maybe they just think there's better talent elsewhere.
But there isn't. He's putting up 1,000 yards every year.
And you never hear anything negative about him in the news or
no.
in
The
press
only thing
conferences or
that
anything.
he's really had knocked against him is he suffered quite a few concussions at one point.
Yeah. Well, when you're his size, you probably aren't gonna. Trust me, I know how that goes.
All right, so we'll move on to the next game. This was a fun game for us. We enjoyed it.
Yes, it was.
Bengals at Steelers. Cincinnati 24, Pittsburgh 10. So there you go. There was only one touchdown.
Gotcha.
On here, Jamar Chase, he's had at least one TD in each game so far.
Is he the first rookie to ever have a TD catch in his first 3 games?
Four touchdown catches in
Three
games.
First 3 games. Okay.
Yep. He's had 4+ targets in each game, and he's averaging 16.25 yards per catch.
Now, I need to come out and publicly apologize to Jamar Chase. I was incredibly down on him, and I thought, well, what the heck do? You're number 5 overall pick, and you're a wide receiver, and you can't catch the ball? Well, he shut me up pretty quickly, and Barber was kind of giving me a hard time saying I wanted him to fail, and that is absolutely not the case. I was just the eye test. He just wasn't catching anything. Now he's catching everything, and I'm very happy. I mean, all of his touchdowns are for 30 yards or more, right?
Yeah. And I will say with him, this touchdown rate, it's unsustainable. So there is going to be somewhat of a drop-off.
Is it, though?
It is. But he does have the trust of Joe Burrow.
I mean,
already.
they had that superb national title run Chase's junior year, so
I just kind of wanted to bring up Tyler Boyd. Even with Higgins out, he had 6 targets, but those were early on.
yeah,
When Higgins is back, I think Boyd is an afterthought in this offense.
he is. And you got your big 3. You got Mixon, Higgins, and Chase, right? Azuma's gonna work in there. Mike Thomas looks good when he gets a chance.
On
Tate
tape.
looks good. He makes spectacular
Chris
catches.
Evans had some catches in there.
Yeah, I just think this offense has their studs and their stars, and there's a huge difference between the two in my context. But Boyd's a deeply 2 flex. 2.
Yeah.
He's nothing more right now.
I have him in a 12-team redraft league, and he's been sitting on my bench all year so far.
Really? I don't blame you. He just hasn't been getting the looks that he probably rightfully deserves. But I mean, what are you gonna do? We can't go, hey, Coach Taylor, you need to get Tyler Boyd the ball.
So moving on to the Steelers side of this game.
The only one you really want is Najee Harris. He is the offense.
I will argue that later on, but yeah, we want to start with Ben Roethlisberger, or has been Roethlisberger.
It's just
I think I need like a dun-ch sound.
has been Roethlisberger.
He looks old and washed.
Oh, and he came into this game with a pectoral injury that was on his right side. That was, everybody was saying it's going to hurt his throwing motion. He's not going to be able to throw the ball deep. And for the most part, we didn't see a whole lot of accuracy out of Roethlisberger on Sunday. So, yeah, he just looks bad. He just looks old and
Deontay Johnson sat out, so that didn't help him any. Juju got hurt with rib injury.
Claypool's also
I think it was
hurt.
a rib cartilage injury. Well, I think they said he was, day to day?
Day to day, but it's a pain tolerance thing.
Claypool, I think he got hurt, but he was right back in. But, bearing the lead, you got Najee Harris.
That's it.
Najee Harris had 19 targets. That's just targets, not carries.
It's because Roethlisberger can't throw downfield.
But still, that's the thing. Those are the running backs that you want, especially in PPR.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
19 targets, that is the second highest from a running back since targets were recorded in 1992. Kamara had 20 in 2018.
Jim Nelly.
But Najee Harris, he ended up with 14 carries, 7 catches. The yards may not be there, but the opportunities are.
That's really... Oh, man, and it really irks me. We'll get it, too, when we get to the Colts. But, yeah, I mean, you want to see that opportunity. You want to see those numbers. Mm-hmm. And just talent plus opportunity scores points. All right, we're just going to say that.
Talent plus opportunity equals fantasy production.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yep.
I like scores points.
Another kind of dart throw on there. You're probably not adding him in redraft, but Dynasty, he was a decent draft. Pat Freiermuth, he had the only touchdown, and I think he's had at least 2 this year so far.
And it's hard to, man. Tight ends are tough because they're
especially rookie tight ends.
Most of them are touchdown dependent, unless you're George Kittle or
Travis Kelce, Waller,
Travis Kelce.
He said just keep calling him Kelsey. It's basically a nickname.
Travis Kelce.
And it's hard to break that.
Yeah, and Darren Waller. I mean, if you don't have one of those guys, it's hard. TJ Hawkinson, too.
He's on that border.
He's maybe the 5th best tight end. 4th, arguably. But.
All right. So we'll move to the next game. Washington football team at the Buffalo Bills.
Man.
Buffalo 43, Washington 21.
You're benching Gibson.
No, you're not benching him because you probably don't have a better option.
Depends on how high you took
The
him.
thing is, Gibson, his touches have gone down since Fitzpatrick's got hurt. He did have a 73-yard receiving touchdown this game, though. So,
which in PPR leagues, that's a 14-point play.
He's showing you that if he's getting passing work, he is producing.
Yeah, and he can do it, and he's shown that he can do it, but
this whole Washington football team offense, it's hard to keep in there right now. Even Terry McLaurin, he had 4 catches on 7 targets, and he's been inconsistent this year. He's had 4 catches, 11, and 4 in 3 games.
Who's Moss? Oh, that's the Bills. Never mind. Yeah, and man, I'm kind of. I knew in one league, Dynasty, Superflex, I was going to be hurting with Deshaun Watson questions, trade away Deshaun Watson, and I was able to get Ryan Fitzpatrick in free agency after the rookie draft.
Oh, no, you drafted Fitzpatrick. You picked up Heineke in free agency.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I got Fitzpatrick's backup, and luckily I did. But I'm playing Heineke right now. He's okay. He's a good
I think
QB.
he's a serviceable QB, but I think this Washington football team, they're QB away from being legitimate Super Bowl contenders.
And it's not that Heineke's playing bad. No. He's not.
He's a low-volume game manager.
It's like saying Jameis Winston isn't bad, but you're right. I mean, he's not. he's not gonna. He can do well for himself. He's just not gonna help out your guys.
So next we'll move on to the Buffalo side of this. Zack Moss, he had 14 carries, 3 targets. He's the running back that you want on this team right now.
But are you sure? Because Singletary was the guy weeks 1 and 2.
They both were the guy week 2.
So it's kind of the changing of the guard, maybe?
I think so. Moss, he was drafted a round earlier than Singletary, I believe. A year later, though.
Right.
And I think he overall looks like he's the better back. He's going to get more of the carries than Singletary. And he's starting to show he can catch. And he makes people miss or runs them over.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, I'm not saying he's going to be an every week starter for you, but he's a guy that I'm willing to add and put in bye weeks.
It would also depend on matchups, I think.
That too. They have had 2 weeks in a row where they've had big leads.
Yeah. Favorable matchups on the ground.
Josh Allen, he's starting to get back to what he was last year. This was his most accurate passing day in throwing the ball.
He smoked everybody.
Yep. Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, they're targeted double-digit times. Sanders, we mentioned, he had 6 targets. He's had 6 targets each game. Mm-hmm. All 3 of these receivers are being used. You could probably trout any one of them out on your team each week.
Right, yeah. I would feel comfortable with any of these guys. All right,
so next we got Chicago Bears at the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland 26, Chicago 6.
Ooh, buddy.
Poor Justin Fields. I don't think this is all on Justin Fields. I think Matt Nagy's a bad coach.
Wherever Nagy goes, he ruins the club.
I heard on ESPN today, they said maybe he's been overlooked quite a bit because of Adam Gase. And someone went as far to say they'd rather have Adam Gase than Matt Nagy right now.
I don't know about that.
I will say Nagy inherited a better situation than Gase did.
I do not want any of those guys in Cincinnati at all.
But Justin Fields, he had only 1 more passing yard than yards he lost from sacks.
Are we actually on?
We were.
Yeah. Nagy inherited a better situation.
Okay, we're good. Sorry, guys.
Sorry, we've been having some issues. Saturday, our battery died on our system, so the end of our podcast got cut off. We're going to eventually make some upgrades on this. We're already looking into it. We just need some better equipment to use that with.
Yep.
Which right now just takes kind of time for us to be able to get.
Or you can help us out and donate money. You can Venmo me, Arcoons15. We'll buy some stuff.
But yeah, Justin Fields, he only had 1 more passing yards than yards he lost from sacks, and he had only 12 rushing yards. Can you believe each game that Dalton played in, he had more rushing yards than Fields did this game?
It doesn't surprise me though, because Dalton can pass. The guy, he can read a defense, he can make adjustments at the line, and I just don't think Justin Fields is at that point yet. I've seen a lot of stuff online. This year has to be
killing you.
Why?
You've said so many, at least decent things about Andy Dalton.
Look, Andy Dalton was not. I mean, we were spoiled with Carson Palmer. I will absolutely believe that until I die. And then Andy Dalton came in here into Cincinnati, and I thought there was better options, but
there are better options. But he is a solid professional quarterback.
That's fine, whatever. But I think Andy Dalton, when he gets healthy again, he's going to be out there as a punching bag, more or less, a hitting dummy to keep Fields healthy and ready to go for next year. But
Matt Nagy did say they haven't decided on who's going to play quarterback this week. Could we see Nick Foles?
Yeah. But the thing is, when Justin Fields is out there, I mean, he said, after the Bengals game, the game's moving so slow for me. I don't think that was the right thing to say.
He said that actually in preseason.
Oh, well, yeah, it's preseason. You're playing against other people's
vanilla defenses.
Yeah, and, man, you can't say stuff like that. And he'll learn. It's a new game. He's not playing Purdue, and he's not playing Northwestern. This is the real deal. And Akron, yeah.
But he'll get better, but I just don't know if he's going to be usable this year.
That offensive line just didn't help him out at all, though.
Yeah, Cleveland had 9 sacks. The Bears, they had a total of 47 yards, 46 of those were rushing and 1 passing yard. If you can, you're avoiding this team until Andy Dalton's back. David Montgomery didn't look good. Allen Robinson didn't look good.
Darnell Mooney.
As for the Browns side, Nick Chubb had more rushing yards than Hunt, but Hunt was more effective. Not just in the passing game. He had more yards per carry than Chubb did.
Yeah.
Hunt ended up with 155 total yards. Both guys are startable.
Yeah.
And really, both guys should be on their own roster.
Yeah, they could both be RB1 somewhere.
Odo Beckham Jr., he's back to a playable player. He had 5 receptions for 77 yards in his first game back. Especially as long as Jarvis Landry's out, you definitely have a good shot with him.
And that's what you want to see from OBJ after the last couple disappointing seasons after leaving New York, but maybe he's back.
I'm not going to say he's going to be back to the elite talent that we're used to.
No, but maybe he's back.
Yeah. Austin Hooper, you could possibly put him out there. He had a touchdown this week, which is what you're looking for from your tight end.
Again, though, you got Harrison Bryant and David Njoku out there. Hooper is...
I don't think Njoku had a catch this last game.
But he's been eating it up the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
So it's going to be hard. It will be hard.
All right, so we'll move on to the Ravens at Lions. The Lions, poor Lions.
Like I said earlier.
A missed delay game penalty.
Yeah, that...
Looking back at the replay, it was a missed delay game penalty.
Yeah.
It was a good 2 seconds after the clock hit 0.
And the NFL really needs to do better about this. And you can say all you want to say about, well, you just need to play the damn game and you need to stop. Okay, well, you need to play the damn game within the rules. Okay, a delay game is a delay game. You call it as it is, and you can't be giving people benefit of the doubt.
Well, so one thing they were talking about, the officials actually do say, like the people in charge of the officials say, give them a second. But if you actually watch it, it was 2 seconds, so it should have been a flag.
No, the clock hits 0, and if that ball's not snapped, that's the point of a delay game.
If they're doing it for everybody, it's staying consistent. But no, I'm not arguing that this wasn't a delay game, because this was.
And that's why the game is not in the best state. It's not in a terrible state like it was a few years ago, but they need to be more consistent. They need 0 means 0, not -1.
I agree, but
0.
the argument is that they're saying this is going to prevent so many delay games from stopping the game, moving it back, and making it better for the fans.
Then the
offenses need to adjust.
No, the NFL needs to say you're going to get called for this because it's by the book.
I know, that's why I said the offenses need to adjust.
So yeah, it's coaching staffs, playmaking,
but
offensive play caller.
We digress. This isn't part of fantasy.
Yeah,
I just kind of wanted to bring that up.
Just stupid.
Lamar Jackson, he was their leading rusher.
Of course.
You can't start anybody in this backfield right now, I don't
think. No, not right now. I mean, Tyson Williams had a good game against the Chiefs, but that's just because the game plan was run.
Yep. Mark Andrews, 5 receptions, 109 yards.
I don't know if we're going to see that every week, though.
No, but he is going to be targeted.
Yeah.
Especially when Hollywood Brown's having games where he has 3 bad drops. At least 2 of those should have been touchdowns.
Yeah, and it could have blown the gates open. And
I think Hollywood Brown's, he's not going to have the drops next week. Sometimes you just have those bad days.
Yeah.
And you can't get out of it that day, but you take a day and you're back to normal. For the Lions side, Swift, he had 21 touches. Williams had 14. The carries, they're about the same number of carries, but Swift is getting more targets and receptions.
Yeah, I'm very hesitant to play Jamal Williams in my keeper league, in my flex, just because I don't know when the workload's going to be there.
I think as long as they're playing catch up, they're both catching the ball. You can start them.
Yeah.
T.J. Hawkinson, he had a rough week. He had 2 catches on only 2 targets for 10 yards. We didn't see a lot of the early part of this game. It could have just been the Ravens' game plan was take Hawkinson out.
Well, they were pretty good at keeping Kelsey at bay for a little while there.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago. So, I mean, I expect bigger things, and I personally, as having shares of Hawkinson, I was hoping for bigger things, but it's 1 week. I went through the gauntlet this week with injuries and
just
it's
bad luck.
it's not my season, guys. It's and any league that I'm in, my 3 leagues, it's not my year.
And then just because we have to mention it, Justin Tucker, heck of a kicker.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to see stuff like that, and it makes the game exciting. But you would like to see it with a little more integrity. That's all.
You can't blame the Ravens for that. It's not integrity on their part.
No, it's not Justin Tucker's fault. But you feel for Detroit, you feel for that city because they do love their football team.
Yeah,
they love it.
And honestly, I'm getting behind that team. I think Dan Campbell's a fun coach.
Yeah, I mean, he said he's going to bite ankles, and they're biting ankles.
Kneecaps.
Oh, kneecaps. Sorry. Who says bite kneecaps? It's ankles.
He was thinking the players were Devon's height.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Devon.
She's not listening.
She is. She's been looking.
Oh.
I think she's trying to get hints to beat the coin in the future.
Oh, okay. Good luck. If I could beat I have beaten the coin every week, but if I could just get 4 more games correct every week, or 5.
If I could be perfect every week.
Yeah, I would be a millionaire on $1 bets.
All right, so our next game, you got the Colts at Titans. Realistically, we didn't watch a lot of this game either.
No.
Unfortunately, we only have one TV, so switching back and forth from a lot of games.
Yeah, and I got 2. The same game is listed twice. So you got like
We don't have to worry about that.
and low button. What I say to up and down, up and down, up and down.
As for this, Jonathan Taylor, he's looking rough out there. He's getting more carries, but Hines is getting more targets. And it's equating that Hines is the better fantasy running back right now.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you right there. I went high on Jonathan Taylor his rookie year last year.
Mhm.
Right, I drafted him in our keeper league last year.
Yeah.
I dropped him in week 11, or maybe it was week 9. It was an odd number week.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what he did after that?
He went off. He started playing against weaker defenses.
And I could not get him again.
That's the thing, though. He doesn't have dump-off Rivers playing QB for him anymore.
What is Carson Wentz with 2 broken ankles? He's going to eventually start dumping it off eventually, and he's going to get tired of getting hit. So I'm just saying...
He's going to be hurt now on the IR soon.
Yeah, probably. But all I'm saying is...
I'm not saying you're bailing on him.
Give Taylor some time.
Yeah, I'm not saying bail on him, but what I'm saying is if you have a better option, start them.
Yes, but if you lose your league because I said play Jonathan Taylor and give him time, I'm not saying play Jonathan Taylor. I'm saying give him time.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
what I'm saying.
want to
I'm just
differentiate
reiterating.
what my words are. I am not responsible for you playing Jonathan Taylor and you possibly losing.
Michael Pittman, he had a quietly decent game. He received 12 targets, only caught 6 for 68 yards.
You expect a little more from him, though.
Not with Carson Wentz throwing to him.
But he had a couple of catchable balls that he just
and that's why I said he only caught 6.
gave up on him, let him fall off his hands. I don't know. I just don't think the hustle is really there with him from the eye test.
Yeah, realistically, you might start Taylor if you don't have anybody better, but other than that, I'm not necessarily starting anybody on this Colts offense.
No.
As for the Tennessee side, Derrick Henry, 28 carries for 113 yards, 3 receptions on 3 targets for 31 yards.
He's doing Derrick Henry things.
If I would go back, I would have drafted Derrick Henry number 1 overall.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it, yeah.
Which you said you were considering that at one point, and then you talked yourself out of it.
I flipped a coin. It was heads, and it was Alvin Kamara, and that's what I went with.
A.J. Brown, he left early with a hamstring injury. Only 2 targets on 1 carry. Better days are ahead for him once he's healthy.
Yes.
Julio Jones, he had only 3 receptions on 4 targets. He could see an expanded role if Brown misses time.
And I'm wondering if he wasn't in there in the late second half, late third quarter into the fourth quarter, because you got the lead. He's pretty freaking old. He's 31 years old. 31,
I know, I can't
years
remember.
old.
I'm starting to wonder if there's not something, there's something between him and Vrabel. Because week 1, Vrabel threw Jones under the bus. He called him out publicly, and we just didn't see him play much. I don't know. Something feels weird there. I'm not saying there is, but
it's just kind of questionable. Why, if your number 1 receiver's out, why isn't your number 2 receiver in the game the rest of the game?
Yeah,
running every snap.
But you're starting him now, especially if A.J. Brown is out.
Well, I was starting him anyway.
Chester Rogers, I think it is. He scored a touchdown for Tennessee. He's taking that number 3 spot. If Brown's out, he could be a decent play too.
Yeah. That one Westbrook Ickheim.
I'm not even going to go over that because that's just probably a fluke.
Yeah, I don't think that was. He just probably got lucky. Right place at the right time.
So we'll move on to the Chargers at Chiefs. Los Angeles Chargers won 30. Won the game.
24.
They scored 30. Kansas City scored 24. Austin Eckler.
Doing Austin Eckler things. He's probably the most.
I almost wish I took him over Zeke.
He's probably the most overlooked running back year after year.
Which, I mean, we talked about him earlier in the year. I threw all those stats showing that he's got Kamara's old offensive coordinator.
I don't think he made it back to me.
He didn't make it back to me in the second round.
So he was gone before it even got back to me.
Yeah. Eckler, he had 16 touches for 107 yards and a TD. Mike Williams, he might be the number 1 receiver on this team now.
He looks good.
7 receptions, 9 yards. They changed the way that he's being used. 9 targets, sorry. They changed the way they're
using his size and getting him open in the middle.
Before this is, okay, you're just running deep. You'll get a couple targets a game. Now they're using him out down the middle. They're using him everywhere. And he's getting those touchdowns.
He's running routes like a wide receiver should.
Yeah, we talked about him that he's a good late round grab. If you did that,
I tried.
He's paying you back right now.
He was my next guy, and it didn't make it back to me.
Keenan Allen, though, he's no slouch. 8 receptions on 12 targets.
He had 2 touchdowns as well, and you can't count on 2 touchdowns every week. But they're getting their targets, man. They're getting their looks, especially because that Chargers defense is suspect.
Yep. And then we got Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He had a bounce back game this week.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he's going to get back to the level or get to a level that we thought he was going to be.
LSU day level.
But he's starting to get more targets. He's starting to be used a little bit more.
But he does have fumbles in back-to-back games.
Yeah, but before this, he didn't fumble at all in the NFL. And one thing Andy Reid does, if you fumble, you're not in his doghouse. He leans into it. It's like, hey, we're going to get you. We're going to get you right.
All it takes to getting hit. And, I mean, bad things happen every once in a while.
Travis Kelce doing Travis Kelce things. 7 receptions, 104 yards.
Just another 18-point day.
Yep.
Whatever. From the tight end.
There's a reason why a lot of people were reaching for him in the first, and I grabbed him in the second.
That's fair.
Tyree Kill. This was an off game for him. 5 receptions, 1 carry for 67 yards.
And that's an outlier. That's way on the left end of the spectrum. That's an outlier. That's never going to happen again.
All right, so
mark my words, or don't.
It will happen again. It's just not going to happen often.
Yeah, maybe.
Next game, we got the New Orleans Saints at the New England Patriots. Saints 28, Patriots 13.
I tell you what, even though the Saints won that game, I don't think they looked good.
There's
something wrong with this.
Their defense looks good.
Their offense is. I mean, Mac Jones hasn't really looked as good as I expected him to.
We'll start talking about the Saints first on this.
All right.
Kamara, he had his career high of 24 carries. Also had 3 receptions for 118 yards.
And a touchdown.
Yep. Callaway, 4 receptions on 5 targets.
With a touchdown.
The thing is, this offense, Winston only had 21 passing attempts. In his 3 games, he's only thrown 20, 22, and 21 times.
It's a conservative play style. It's not the Drew Brees
gunslinger,
flying high, basketball on turf.
Realistically, other than Kamara, I'm probably avoiding this offense
until Michael Thomas comes back. Yeah. Callaway's 4 receptions, 41 yards, and a touchdown. His touchdown was a fluke. Winston was trying to throw it away when he got hit in the back, and it just happened to fall in a good spot.
So before we get to the Patriots, can you tell me the record of rookie starting QBs this year?
Okay, so games they've started in.
Mm-hmm. Not just Mac Jones, but all rookie QBs.
Okay, well the Patriots beat the Jets, so that's 1-2. Zach Wilson's 0-3.
I'm just gonna make it easy for you.
It's 1-5.
It's 1-10.
1-10.
1-10, and that only win
is Mac Jones.
Mac Jones against another rookie QB.
That was a low-scoring game.
Yep. Well, the Patriots just handled the Jets.
Well, yeah.
I will say this game, Mac Jones, he didn't lose this game for him. He had a couple interceptions, but Mac Jones isn't the reason this team lost.
You're not this. Yeah, this offensive line just looks bad. They're not giving him any time out there. I think the play calling just looks bad. Mac 10. I just think I don't know. Is it time for Belichick to just go away and leave football alone and let the younger guys come in that want to win and want to coach these kids and these guys? I don't know, man.
Yeah, this game, Mac Jones, he threw the ball 51 times. This is something you're not going to see often from him.
And he probably threw the ball 20 yards downfield once.
And the crazy thing is, he led the team in rushing attempts and yards. Especially with James White out, I don't think there's a running back that you're starting for New England.
No. Not even Damian Harris.
Honestly, I'm not even trusting any of the pass catchers.
Well,
Any pass catchers. Even though Bourne and Myers had a good game, it took 51 targets to get them
to be anywhere relevant.
Yep. And
yeah, what happened to Aguilar after week 1? Where did that guy go?
News on James White, though. He left with an injury. It's similar to what Tua and Fitzpatrick had to hip subluxation. He's on the IR. He's likely done for the year.
Yeah.
You hate to see it, but next man up.
It's the way it goes, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way it goes. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I was not impressed by either one of these squads, and anybody on these teams is going to be hard to put in, even at the flex.
All right, and then we got the Falcons at Giants. Atlanta won 17-14. We kind of mentioned this earlier in the waiver wire section, but Mike Davis, he's getting more carries, but Patterson's getting more targets. I'm starting to lean more towards you might be able to plug in Patterson.
And it was crazy watching that game because, I mean, we probably saw 3 receptions from Ridley, and it was like the Giants were umbrelling Ridley.
Yep.
Let him get his catch, but tackle him immediately. Not letting him get any open field.
Yep, Ridley had 8 catches for 61 yards, so it wasn't a bad day still, but like you said, after he's catching it, he was getting hit right away.
1 step, 2 step, 3 step drop. I don't know. Yeah, Mike Davis, he's clearly the RB1, and Cordell Patterson's the change of pace receiver.
I don't think it's a change of pace because they're splitting snaps almost evenly.
I just you like that tag on there that it's a running back wide receiver.
That's in very few leagues. Most leagues he's just a wide receiver. So in Sleeper he has a running back wide receiver tag.
I think that's what makes people happy about that is the possibility that increases your ceiling. You're probably going to get a lot more targets.
The multi-position tags, back when Marcus Colson broke out, that's the only reason I picked him up. He had wide receiver tight end tag.
You throw your tight end.
It worked out for me too. I was on Marcus Colson before anybody. But Kyle Pitts, if you drafted him, he's 2 catches, 3 targets, and Smith, an unknown tight end, gets the touchdown catch. As for the Giants side of this, Daniel Jones, he went 24 for 35, 266 yards, and 8 carries for 39 yards. He's in that usable QB meld right now. I probably wouldn't use him against the Saints this week, but
no, I wouldn't use him against the Saints. But he has an awful line,
hence the rushing for him.
And all of his target or all of his tools are hurt right now. Sterling Shepard and
with
Darius
Shepard and Slayton, they left the game with hamstring injuries. So many hamstring and rib injuries this year.
They have to linger.
Saquon, though, he's starting to look better. He played 84% of the snaps. He had 16 carries for 51 yards, 6 catches for 43 yards.
And if the Giants want to right this ship, they're going to have to get Saquon the ball in open field and let him do his thing. This running between the tackles right now with this offensive line, it scares you a little bit if you have shares of Saquon. But it's the NFL. Be hopeful, man. He looks good out there. He looks like his old self.
Not quite to his old self, but he's definitely getting close. Next, we got the Cardinals at Jaguars. Arizona won 31-19.
What a close game.
Yeah, but it was only because of special teams play for Jacksonville.
Yeah, I mean,
It was close in the first half. We'll just say that.
I finally got my second share of Kyler Murray, and he goes out and throws up pretty much a dud, only 28 points. But that's fine. I don't expect the dude to go out there and throw up 50, 45 points a game.
Otherwise, with that, James Conner was the leading rusher and had 2 touchdowns. Edmonds got more of the receptions and targets, though. You're probably not starting Conner.
Yeah, unless I don't have any better options. I'm staying away from both of them.
DeAndre Hopkins, I just wanted to point this out. He only had 3 receptions on 6 targets. It could have been hampered by his rib injury and the fact that they just didn't need him because Christian Kirk and AJ Green were going off.
And we saw it last week against Minnesota. Hopkins started off really hot, and then he just kind of wasn't there the rest of the game. Even though he was there. But
wanted to bring up somebody we've been high on, Rodnell Moore. He only had 2 catches on 2 targets. These games are going to happen.
Yeah, I flipped a coin and I kept Julio Jones in, and he scored more than Rodnell Moore by like a half a point.
I don't know if you guys saw it, but Rodnell Moore, he was going to go return a punt. The official throws a flag and hits the ball while it's dropping. Rodnell Moore fumbles it, hence his 1 fumble.
Yeah,
a lot of people with that, they're bringing up the Randy Johnson hitting a bird pitch. Arizona tweeted out about this.
Okay, what did they say?
So, the funny thing is with this, the batter that was up at bat when Randy Johnson threw that pitch was Kyler Murray's dad.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? I did not know that.
I didn't either.
That's interesting.
But Moore, he's probably still a bench guy in the redraft.
Which Manning is this? On the next one, sorry.
Oh, Trevor Lawrence? Yeah. Trevor Lawrence, like I said, he shouldn't be started yet. He's on pace to break Peyton Manning's interception record.
Peyton Manning, huh?
Yep. Each year, the last 2 years, Peyton Manning's made the joke that you can go break my record. Like I said, this is why whoever's playing Jacksonville is a good play. Lawrence has been throwing multiple interceptions a game. James Robinson ended up with 21 touches, 134 yards, and a TD. Hopefully this usage continues for him.
So I got a question for you.
Okay.
And this is I always want an expert opinion from Barber here.
I'm not an expert, but
don't tell them that. They'll be on to us. Would you play, if you have Alvin Kamara as your RB1, would you play this week going up against the Cincinnati Bengals, James Robinson over Jonathan Taylor?
I can't remember who the Colts are playing. Miami? No, I would play Jonathan Taylor. Miami is a bad run defense.
Okay, I'm going to take you up on that. That was for me. Dude, it's 8 o'clock. We got to go.
Yep. Trying to get back to where we were. Marvin Jones had 6 catches on 8 targets. He's going to be someone you can keep running out there. DJ Chark only 3 catches on 6 targets. He has not caught more than 3 balls in a game despite seeing 22 total targets. Our next game, which we're getting closer to the end, we got 4, I think.
Yeah.
New York Jets at Denver Broncos. Denver won 26-0. We're going to keep this easy for the Jets. You're not starting anybody.
Yeah, no. Melvin Gordon, though.
Oh, Corey Davis. He is someone that you could still possibly play. 5 receptions on 10 targets for 41 yards. If somebody's going to get TD, I think it might be him for the Jets. And when bye weeks start coming up, I think not this next week, but week 5, you might need him. But yeah, Melvin Gordon, he outtouched Jamal Williams 19-15.
It's still an even workload, but I think both of those guys have the talent to be able to be plugged in somewhere.
I will say, from what we watched that game, Williams seemed to be getting more of the goal-to-go carries.
Yeah, which could vulture Gordon.
And I will say, Gordon still looks decent. But I think Williams just looks like the better runner overall right now. He does break quite a few tackles.
Maybe.
Tim Patrick had 5 catches on 5 targets for 98 yards. Cortland Sutton, 5 catches on 5 targets for 37 yards. You got to think some of this Sutton's being the number one guy now. The Jets actually have a good DB that tends to shadow the number one receiver. But, and this could be because of the blowout, there was only 25 passes during this game from Denver.
Yeah, and you got to keep, in fact, Denver fans, don't get too excited. The 3 teams they played are 0-3.
I still think this is a good team. Their defense is very good.
They're a good team, but they haven't been tested yet, and I think they're going to get tested this week.
All right, Dolphins at Raiders. Las Vegas won 31-28. Another overtime game for Derek Carr and the Raiders. Mike Gaskin, he had 16 touches for 74 yards. Jalen Waddle, PPR guy right here with Brissett in there. 12 receptions on 13 targets for 58 yards.
Wow, what a burner. That's the type of yardage we were used to seeing in Alabama.
Well, that's the thing. So Will Fuller was back for his first game this year. He probably took more of those deep passes from him.
Yeah.
Mike Gesicki, you'd like to see this kind of numbers. 10 catches on 12 targets for 86 yards. His targets have actually doubled each game. 3 first game, 6, 12 this game.
Yeah, I was looking at him. I thought he could be good this year.
Yep. Then on the Raiders side, you got Derek Carr, went 26 of 43, 386 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception. Peyton Barber had a good game. You're not picking him up. I think it's just this Miami defense is bad against the run.
Yeah.
Kenyon Drake, he had 11 touches for 57 yards. And as for the receivers, it's... who knows?
Oh, man. Yeah, Carr just spreads the ball around so well.
Edwards went 3 for 89. Ruggs 4 for 78. Renfro 5 for 77 and a touchdown. Waller 5 for 54. You could take a flyer on any one of those 3 guys any week. You don't know if it's going to hit, but Waller's the guy that you're going to want out there each week. I think this is actually a outlier game for him.
I would also say your PPR leagues, you probably want to go with Hunter Renfro. He gets a lot of third down looks. A lot of third down looks. I think he had 19.
I think his nickname is Third and Renfro.
Yeah, Third and Renfro. I don't know. He gets a lot of targets. So,
all right. So our next game, Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams won 34-24. I think Brady's going to come back and tear them up in the playoffs, but that's talk for another time.
We saw it last year with the Chiefs.
Tom Brady threw a lot this game. 41 passes for 55 yards.
No, he threw 55
41
attempts.
41. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. 41 completions for 55 attempts. 432 yards and a TD. He led the team in rushing yards for the second time in his career with 14 yards.
What? Wow.
Yep. Mike Evans was the receiver you wanted from this side. He had 8 catches for 106 yards. Godwin 6 for 74. Antonio Brown should be back next week, you'd think.
We'll see.
It's spread around, so any one of these guys can go off any week.
Yeah.
Gronk went 4 for 55. He did leave briefly due to an injury, but he came back.
Stafford, if you can... I think I'm going to play Stafford over Rodgers.
I mean, who knows on that one. Yeah, Stafford looked good. He started off slow, but I think after the first big game on a team that actually has a shot to do something, he kind of settled down. That was my shoe. He ended up 27 of 38 for 343 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Pretty solid day.
Sony Michel led the running backs with touches, 24 for 79.
Cooper Kupp did Cooper Kupp things.
Cooper Kupp's the receiver you want here.
What happened to Robert Woods, man?
Stafford's not looking his way at all.
That's cool.
Part of it is a lot of people think Goff needed you to be open and basically was a one-read guy.
Yeah.
And so that could have been why Robert Woods was doing so well with Goff and not so much with Stafford, where Kupp, he has... Find yourself somebody who looks at you the way Matthew Stafford looks at Cooper Kupp.
Pretty much.
And then Higbee, five catches, 40 yards, and a TD.
But I still feel like all of these guys, specifically Kupp, Woods, and Higbee, are still all viable options. There's a lot of season left to go.
Do you have a question, Devon?
When are you guys done? Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we
almost
got
done.
2 games.
I know. Barber's
And then a
talking
preview.
forever.
Next game we had the Seattle Seahawks and Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings won 30-17. Chris Carson, 14 touches, 82 yards, and a TD. He's the only running back you want there.
After that Chris Carson TD in the second quarter, the Seahawks didn't score again.
DK Metcalf, 5 catches, 107 yards, and a touchdown.
He finally came alive this week.
Gerald Everett, 5 for 54, no touchdowns. Lockett, 4 for 31, no touchdowns. He left briefly due to an injury, but returned. You never know who's going to be the guy on this team.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I didn't hit the stats on here on Minnesota, but Jefferson, Thielen, and Madison are the guys you want.
They
right
went
now.
nuts. And Kirk Cousins, he's
We mentioned that he
getting
could
into
be.
the conversation of a top 12 QB, which
He's always been
14 league.
close to that point.
I mean, he's right there. Ryan Tannehill, he's doing better than Ryan Tannehill.
Last night, the Sunday night game, Green Bay Packers at 49ers. Another heartbreak, a fun game to watch, I think. Green Bay won 30-28 on a last-second 50-something yard field goal. I can't remember
54 yarder by Mason Crosby. But I feel like Green Bay deserved that game.
Yeah.
There was a lot of missed calls against San Francisco there. And we know Rodgers likes to yell and cry for calls. But I think this night in particular, they were getting homered, and he had justification
So
for that.
Devontae Adams ended up going 12 for 132 and a touchdown.
Doing Adams things.
Aaron Jones, 21 touches, 96 yards, but he did have a fumble. Trey Sermon, he was in there. He was the starting guy, but
Jusic looked better. Is that how you say his name?
no.
Juice.
Juszczyk. Kyle
Juszczyk.
Juszczyk.
The
He
fullback.
did. But I think when Elijah Mitchell comes back, he's going to take the starting reins.
Yeah, it's
again.
his job.
Debo, 5 for 52 with no touchdowns. Ayuk finally got some play, 4 for 37 and a touchdown. Kittle's finally starting to do Kittle things, 7 for 92. As for that, that's all we got for our Week 3 review. Eagles and Cowboys play tonight.
We'll see how that goes. I got the Cowboys in this one, but I've been wrong before.
And then, so our Thursday night preview. Quick rundown on this. Jacksonville at Cincinnati. Jones and Robinson. Those are the only 2 guys you're considering for Jacksonville.
Marvin Jones and James Robinson.
Burrow, Chase, Higgins, Mixon are guys you're looking at starting for Cincy. Keep an eye on Higgins, though. They're not practicing. You'll have to keep hearing what they're going to say, and he might be a game-time decision.
I hope not. I need wide receivers. I need my wide receivers to be
So,
healthy.
Ryan, this is the only pick we're going to make today for next week. Who's your pick to win this game?
I'm going to go with Cincinnati at home. They had a big win in Pittsburgh, and I just don't think Jacksonville's quite there yet. They have a good, solid defense, but I don't think that offense can compete yet.
Yep, I'm going Cincinnati as well. If they didn't play so poorly at times against Chicago, they should be undefeated right now.
Yeah, they're a good team. I just don't know if they're. We'll see.
All right. So we'll see you guys again on Thursday about the same time.
Oh yeah.